On Saturday, March 26th, the Democratic Party will be continuing with their primary campaign. 3 states up for grabs. The state of Alaska, which awards 16 delegates. The state of Hawaii, which awards 25 delegates. And the big prize of the night, Washington State, 101 delegates. Now, all 3 of them are in caucus format, which we will talk about on how that may or may not favor Bernie Sanders. But we're going to just start off purely easy speculation. Aaron, do you think that Bernie can pull out the win?
I think he'll pull every single win. I think he'll go 3 for 3, sweep it.
There you go. Okay. Any idea on percentages or just
I think
sheer margin?
Based on the fact that it's a caucus format and this actually favors him, I think there's 142 delegates up for grabs here. So I think he can get out maybe 100 to Hillary's 42 around that area, and that will shorten the gap between him and Hillary by 60, which is a solid gain for 3 states.
Just so the viewers know, at this current point, Bernie is down around 303 delegates, not including super delegates, which the mainstream media loves to just throw into that number. They don't actually vote until the time of the convention, so that's why we don't include them. Patrick, what do you think?
I really want Bernie to win all 3 states. I'm really hoping for it, but again, Hillary's a tough opponent, and she might throw some curveballs. I don't know about the politics in Alaska, but it looks to me that Washington and
Hawaii.
Hawaii, yeah. Hawaii seems like he's going to do really good. I mean, that ad that came out, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago?
Yes, the ad.
That's going to factor in.
Yes. Tulsi Gabbard, who has one of the few super delegates, she actually left the Democratic committee to join Bernie Sanders' campaign. She's the representative from Hawaii. Huge star.
Yeah.
Probably a potential vice presidential candidate. I actually think Bernie's going to just thrash her in Hawaii.
Probably going to get every single delegate in that state.
Yeah, for the viewers who don't know, if you get if you don't get 15% minimum, you don't get any delegates, regardless of the proportionality of it or what part you're caucusing in. So if that happens, that's 26 delegates to 0 for Bernie Sanders. I think he's the big state of the night, Washington State. He's outraised Hillary Clinton in terms of money, and he's the small donor guy, not the big donor that Hillary is.
Oh yeah, the average donation is $20, $22, I believe.
Plus, when you look at demographics, it's right up his wheelhouse for people he's looking.
Yeah, it's Seattle.
It's very left-leaning. It's where Starbucks and legalized marijuana, all the other things you associate with very left-leaning politics are. And it's just young and white. That's who he's been hitting so far. Not to say it's the only people who vote for him, but overwhelmingly majority of them vote for him.
Yep.
And that's the demographic there.
Yep.
And the other thing is, the point you said about the young people, that's the strongest demographic he pulls with out of any candidate. He does better with young people than
regardless, and even in that younger demographic, it doesn't matter on race. That in the southern states, it was Bernie's losing the African American vote, and Bernie in other states is Bernie's losing the Latino vote, like in Florida.
And then Nevada changed it?
Nevada, he won, but Nevada was before Florida.
Yeah.
But even regardless of that, if you are under the age of 30, it doesn't matter what gender or race you are more likely to vote for Bernie Sanders because you're naturally more progressive, which has been tantamount throughout history. The younger generation is always more progressive than the older generation, on the whole, usually.
Yeah. And I think just the younger generation itself is just growing up. They're not a big fan of the politics of the other candidates when it comes to what they stand for, which is big banks, big corporations, and who cares about the little guy.
This is true.
Yeah, they did a poll on the young people, and they actually found out that more of them would rather have a dinner with Bernie Sanders than current President Obama.
Or Beyonce.
Beyonce I was actually surprised by, but the really interesting thing is I think this actually might be a first glimpse into the post-democracy theory we heard about in our poli-sci undergrad classes actually playing out in the real world.
Okay. In terms of momentum, which is probably apart from winning a lot of delegates, I think politics and campaigns are really a game of momentum.
Yeah.
After March 15th, where he lost all 5 of those states, Ohio, Illinois, Missouri.
Yeah, that was rough.
I want to say Indiana and Florida. North Carolina and Florida, not Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big hit to his momentum. Now, he's won 2 states. He won Utah and Idaho to Hillary, Arizona with all the voter fraud that was happening. I don't want to get into the weeds of that, but Hillary won that state.
As of now.
But he won 2. If he wins 3 more, the end of the road, the prize that's coming up is New York, and he needs to win New York if he wants to have a shot at this.
And then California.
Well, California is the big piece of cheese at the end.
That's the Vatican of
Well, it's 571 delegates if he's close and then he wins California, I think it's over for Hillary. But neither of these candidates are going to have enough pledged delegates to take the nomination. It's going to go to the convention floor, backroom deals, which sucks.
But I mean, without talking about the backroom deals, which we can't get into right now, it's all speculation. When you look at momentum.
Yeah, just the momentum. What do you think?
Before, even look at, he said, it's the big prize. It's way down the road, like California. Bernie Sanders used to be down by 40% in the polling. He's now down by 7%. It's been going in his favor forever. And now, if he sweeps all 3 states, and he has a momentum where he's now closing the gap between Hillary, where every established media has been saying, Hillary Clinton's, it's inevitable. She's going to win. Forget Bernie Sanders. She's not going to win. Just forget him.
Just stop voting. Stop campaigning, Bernie.
Well, he keeps closing the gap. He keeps sticking around. And the longer he stays in his race and the closer it gets, I think the more and more Hillary Clinton has to start sweating.
Patrick, do you think that if he wins these 3, it's going to change right now he's polling down at least 25 points in New York on average, real clear politics average, 25 points.
Yeah.
You think that can create that much of a shift where he can actually win New York?
Sorry, my phone went off there for a second. Well, I definitely think if he wins these 3 states, it's going to put him in a hugely competitive position. But the thing is, New York is going to be just a battle royale. Hillary Clinton was...
It's one of her, 4 home states.
Yeah, she was the senator there, and I believe Bernie Sanders originally hails from New York, so it's just going to be brutal when they go to town over there. And I don't know who's going to win in that competition. Both of them could equally dominate it, and it's really hard to tell. But with those 3 states, I think he would be in a better competitive position to walk into New York than without them. So I think it would make a difference when it comes there.
But a point I do want to bring up then is, say the worst case scenario happens, Bernie Sanders does not just lose in these 3 states, but say he performs poorly all across the board. Do you think that ends his chances?
I think if he can't catch up on the delegates on the 26th, it's if you can't win in Hawaii, where one of the most popular representatives is endorsing you, and if you can't win in one of the most liberal states, that is Washington State, which is right next to California, I think you're in trouble. The one thing I do want to put a little bit of a spotlight on is, if he wins these 3 states, you've seen when he wins how much money he raises from the grassroots.
It jumps. It's insane.
He raised, I think when he won in New Hampshire, he raised $6 million in one day. So if he wins 3 states and he gets that money, he's still toe to toe with Hillary, and Hillary's maxing out on her big donors and the amount that they can contribute, and he's crossed 5 million individual contributions.
All grassroots.
Yeah. And between 22 and 27 individual dollar per person.
Yeah, I think the average that he always says in his spiel is $27.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So between all 3 of us, I think we're thinking Bernie makes the sweep.
Yep. Hopeful, very hopeful.
Yeah,
I want it to happen. I want it to happen.
I want a close, tight race. Right now, 300 delegates is just...
Well, there's a lot of them that haven't been unpledged, and I think people keep forgetting that. And there's still 1,000 left over. And
so we're about just past the halfway point. It's about 2,200 pledged delegates left. Plus, there's about almost 300 super delegates that haven't pledged themselves to Hillary or Bernie yet. But again, super delegates do not vote until convention day.
Yeah,
so
and they're not tied on any candidate. They can switch anymore.
Yeah, they can. They don't have to stick to one. They can switch whenever they want. So that's going to add another factor.
Just a quick question. Do you think Bernie could actually switch the super delegates with all the favors that have been done in Washington politics and how?
Ooh.
Do you think he can? All speculation aside, somehow I think if he has the pledged delegate lead, if they don't give him the nomination, I think you're going to see an eruption, and we can get into that conversation another time. But just on the merits alone, do you think Bernie could sway 400 super delegates?
That's a good
to
question.
his direction?
Super delegates, right?
Super delegates.
That's a good question. Oof. Aaron, you want to take this one?
Sure. I think he can. When you look at super delegates are not tied on anyone. When they smell blood and they think they're backing a losing candidate, they will push you out of the way and try and then buy a different candidate, try and get favorable terms. So if they don't think Hillary Clinton is the one who's going to be representing their needs in the White House, they have no qualms just pushing her out of the way and support a different candidate. So yeah, I think he has a chance.
All right. We'll leave it at that.